Hey everyone, this is Dr. Light66, and in this video I'll be talking about Undercover Cops by Irem, and I'll be talking about the Alpha Renewal version of the game, and why it's the definitive arcade version of the game, and why it should be included, in my opinion, anyway, in the strictly limited games, ending games, and Toza Games collaboration of the Irem collection volumes that they're doing for the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch. Before I talk about the Alpha Renewal version and what it is, though, I want to showcase something really cool that I learned about the other day, and this applies to every arcade version of the game. There's actually a 3-player option that you can utilize in the dip switch settings. So you can actually have the game set so that three players can play the game at once, instead of just 2 players. Like, I always thought that the arcade version was always just a 2-player game, but it's actually a 3-player game. Or it's actually, you can actually set it to 3 players, so that 3 players can play at once, and each player can play as one of the 3 different playable characters. Now, if you do set it to 3 in the dip switch settings, and it was set at 2 by default, you do have to close and reopen the program. Like, I'm playing this on main, so yeah, you have to, like, once you set it to 3 from 2, you have to reset everything, or reset the game. But anyway, yeah, so you can have 3 players play at once, which is really cool, and it's kind of funny. There's actually a cutscene that plays at the end of the game, and depending on which characters are being played as when the game ends, you get different dialogues between the characters. And if you have all 3 characters finish the game together, they have a really funny conversation with one another during the end game cutscene. But anyway, now we're going to talk about the Alpha Renewal version of Undercover Cops, and like what it is and why it's basically the definitive version of the game. Basically, when the arcade game was released in the West, because there's 2 different versions. There's like a US version and a world version that were both released in the West for those of us who speak English. Those 2 versions were based on an incomplete build of the Japanese version of the game. So those versions are missing like a ton of content, like a ton of missing moves of the characters, and background art, and music remixes and stuff. And the Alpha Renewal version of the game, released after the Japanese version came out, which was the complete version of the game. And the Alpha Renewal version of the game restores all the lost content. It's based on the complete Japanese build, but it's all in English. And I don't remember exactly if it was like an upgrade kit for the existing arcade boards, or if it was like its own a standalone cabinet that was released. I know, but it was like extremely rare. So yeah, it was like, yeah, just nobody's really really heard of this before. But here I'm gonna show Claude's missing moves that were restored in both the Alpha Renewal version and that were included in the Japanese version. And right away, you can see super desperation moves, which are really, really useful and really important, and just just awesome looking. You can also dash and jump, and you can do a dash jump knee with him. And just to like do a quick summary, basically every character now has a super desperation move that they can do in the air, and every character can jump while dashing and do a jump attack while dashing. And they have 2 extra throws, and they have an extra standing combo finisher depending on what direction you're pressing the joystick. Like right here, you see Claude does that jumping karate chop attack that was added in, and this pile driver move that was added in right there. And earlier he did like a throw with his legs backwards that was added in. So, and there's the super desperation move. Basically, when you perform that, you have to do it in the air. And for Claude and for Flame, the female character, you jump in the air, and at the peak of your height in the air, you do a half circle, like back down to forward in the attack button, and you'll perform the move. And you have iframes during it, and like when you use it and it hits enemies, it drains part of your health. But if you don't hit any enemies with it, you don't lose any health at all. So it's like really useful against large mobs of tougher enemies, and it's really useful against some of the bosses because it does a ton of damage. And yeah, there's the standing combo finisher where he does the karate kick. There's the backwards throw kick that was added in, the flying knee that you do. And it's also a wake up attack. Like when you get knocked down, I'm trying to get knocked down here, but hasn't happened yet. But yeah, when you get knocked down, if you mash the attack button right here, when you get up, you do like a little attack to knock enemies away from you. Because when you get knocked down and stand back up, you don't get any iframes at all. So you're vulnerable to getting hit like right away again as soon as you get back up. And I think here again, I get knocked down one more time. I just showed the wake up attack one more time because it's really useful for keeping enemies away from you. So basically, just like a quick summary, yeah, like for what was added to the Japanese and the Alpha Renewal versions, it's like 2 new throws, an extra way to finish standing combos, the super desperation attack in the air, and the run and jump, and the run and jump attack, and the wake up attack. Just like that's like basically half the character's moves, if not more than half the character's moves that are missing from the the normal English world and US releases. And here's Bubba, and he actually has like the most powerful super desperation move because it can hit enemies multiple times, and it can hit bosses multiple times. Like I've actually hit the final boss of the game 3 times with just one super desperation attack, and like took off like half his life bar. And with Bubba's super desperation move, well, there is a body slam that was added in. But actually, I'm just gonna talk about his new moves that were added in. He has like I'm trying to grab enemies. That flip over his head that was added in, and there it is again. Let's see, he did like a earlier. You might have to rewind it, but he did like a body slam move that was added in. And here I think I'm gonna show he does like a soccer kick type of way to finish a standing combo. Yeah, that right there. It basically just boots the enemies right up into the air. And what else now? Yeah, basically, the super desperation move. Like you can just completely obliterate everything on the screen, and even if you like hit enemies multiple times with that one attack, you don't lose any more health than you would if you just hit enemies once with the super desperation move. And another thing too is like if there's a wake up attack. There's a lot of food pickups, like a lot of health pickups throughout the game. So it just adds like a whole new strategy to the game where, if you know that there's health pickups coming up soon, you can do the super desperation attack, clear the screen of the enemies, and then restore your health with the health pickup that's like right past the part that you're at. And yeah, it just adds a whole lot of new strategy, and just makes clearing mobs of enemies a lot easier, and fighting a lot of the bosses a lot easier. Some bosses are really tough to get close to, so you can just keep spamming, especially if you have full health. You can just, and there's Flame's super desperation attack. You can just keep spamming the super desperation attack so long as you still have enough health to do it. But yeah, here for Flame, I'll talk about her moves that were added in, like that fling right there. was added in, and where she like basically flings enemies from one side of the screen to the other. And what else now? Trying to remember what all I showcase. I should showcase every single thing. Not that either, but I think here I'm just trying to do the super desperation move, which is the same thing as the Claude's, where you do the half circle, then the attack button. With Bubba, you press in the air, you press down and up, and then the attack button. Yeah, she does a headbutt move right there. That was added in. And what else now? Headbutt again. Headbutt again. There's the fling. I think I did I do it? She also throws enemies, or basically whips enemies backwards with her legs right there, yeah. So she has the extra move where she flings enemies from the side of the screen, the attack where she flips them backwards with her legs. She has the headbutt that was added in, and the super desperation attack, the wake up attack, and she also has like a dash jump attack where she I don't know how to describe it. But anyway, so yeah, those were the new moves that were added into the Japanese and the Alpha Renewal versions of the game. And then here, this version right here that I'm playing, right this moment, because I put together different clips all together of like the Alpha Renewal version, and then the World US versions. This is the World US version, second stage, and that like the background was like all industrial and all like a factory kind of, and the stage, like the second stage, takes place like right after you're fighting along like the ocean front or a seaside, like a lake or a sea or whatever. And this here that coming up now is the Alpha Renewal version, second stage. So look at the difference in the backgrounds. You might have to rewind a little bit, but yeah, like you go from like the World US version, which uses like a basically generic, like just uninspired industrial factory backgrounds, to now this background here, which like still has like the waterfalls in the background, and it shows that the world's like basically like destroyed because this game was made by the same developers who went on to go into the Metal Slug games. So they did a couple of games together at Irem that all kind of like were supposed to take place in the same world, like Undercover Cops and In the Hunt, Cosmic Cop. I think Air Duel does too, but I'm not quite sure. Then of course Gun Force 1 and 2, which all have these just like sort of post-apocalyptic looks to them, kind of. But yeah, just the background here is just so much better, like so much more aesthetically appealing than the World US version. And I'm trying to think of what else. Oh yeah, so like here's another background with like added in art. That giant cauldron in the back with like the bubbling oil or whatever it is, and the skull inside of it. That cauldron is not in the World or US versions of the game. So yeah, it's just like another example of like Irem adding in extra art just to kind of like make things just look a lot better and more appealing, where things just kind of looked complete instead of just like a blank black background. Like the skulls were all in the background originally, but not the giant cauldron. And then here I'm showing a flame super desperation attack and how useful it is against bosses, where I had like full health, so I can use the move 3 times, and I use it 3 times and just obliterate the boss, because the boss is a real pain if you're just trying to like fight him, as he is, just using your regular attacks. And this cutscene here, the final mission cutscene, this is not in the world or US version. This was added into the Japanese and Alpha Renewal versions of the game. Basically, that little guy with the glasses is the final boss of the game, and this takes place between the stage 4 and stage 5. There's 5 stages altogether in the game, and basically he's just kind of telling you like he's gonna drop a nuke on the city. And on stage 5 right here, if you don't hit him before he lowers the bomb that's up at the top of the screen, if you don't hit him before he lowers it, you get the bad ending, and if you hit him, you get the good ending. And then the final assessment right here, this takes place after you finish the game, and it gives you like your true final score. And if you actually beat the game without continuing, I don't show it here, but during the final assessment, if you beat the game without using a continue, you get a 1 credit coin or 1 credit clear bonus. No, it's a 1 coin clear. Yeah, it's a 1 coin clear bonus of like 1.5 million, which is like a huge bonus. So it really gives you some trying 1cc of the game. And here I'm showing you I'll stop talking, but here I'm showing the music and the differences between the two people. That was the Alpha Renewal version. We're the US version of the
Yes, you got
music. So yeah, the Alpha Renewal version, and like I said, the Alpha Renewal version is the same thing as the Japanese version. They're the complete versions of Undercover Cops, so they have the same content, and the only difference is that the Japanese version, I think if you 1cc, 1 coin clear the game as Flame, she has like her own special ending music, but otherwise the Alpha Renewal version has everything that the Japanese version has. It's just that it's fully in English, because the Japanese version, half the text of the game is in Japanese. Like the ending credits are all in Japanese, and I think most of the characters have their own profiles that play during the opening story cutscene and stuff. If you don't press anything or add any coins to the game or anything. But yeah, the Alpha Renewal version is the Japanese version. They're the full complete builds of the game. And so I was gonna mention something else, and now I'm drawing a blank. The music, like the Alpha Renewal version and the Japanese version compared to the US world versions, like the ordinary English versions, the music tracks are just better. There's voices that play during them, and there's more instruments and better sounding instruments that play them during them, and It's like comparing like Super Nintendo music to Genesis music, which might be controversial, but yeah, the Alpha Renewal version of the game, it's just it's like an officially licensed, not officially licensed, but official version of the game, and it just sounds, or it's just like way better. So yeah.